And we are back. That was Adam having absolutely no issues whatsoever with the entry level onboarding of the very simple game Kato, which, as you probably saw in the video, I'm a huge fan of. Ben, are we going to talk about some stuff?
We are. We're going to talk about some influencer marketing for video games, which is a subject that we have spoke about before. We're by no means the industry leading experts, but we have a strong interest in it. We're looking more into it, and yeah, it's an area of huge potential, which is why we're going to talk about it again. What's prompted wanting to talk about this again is I don't know if you've seen what Rust has been doing very recently. They started running campaigns across Twitch across the new year. And it's always typically a very well received game, and it's always reasonably high in the most played games on Steam. But ever since this has kicked off, it's risen into the top 5 most played games on Steam, and it's stayed there. And that's definitely been down to the activity that they've been doing on Twitch and working with streamers and influencers to really drive that game. And they tweeted out that they'd made $1 million in 2 days off the back of this. So that doesn't show the potential of this.
I mean,
I'm
that's staggering numbers, and I've just done a quick search. So the initial release of Rust was December 2013. So when we talk about long life games, that's pretty good going for something that was released that long ago initially.
Yeah, making $1 million in 2 days, 8 years after your game has been released is phenomenal by any stretch. I don't care who you are. That's amazing. And I think what's so good about using Twitch in the way that they've used it and the way that other people use it is that everybody benefits from this kind of marketing. It benefits obviously the developer of their game because it gets more people's eyes on it. It benefits the streamers because they get more followers, and especially with what they did with this Rust campaign, as they got a bunch of streamers together to play together. So everyone's bringing their own followers with them, and that levels up each individual streamer as they get more exposure, as the game gets more exposure. And the players benefit as well because they get to see cool games. And also, what's been done as part of this campaign is they've really used the Twitch drops mechanism, whereby the developer can choose which streamers can participate in the drops. You can do it like stream wide. Anyone who's playing the game can do it, or you can select specific streamers. And essentially, the way the drops works, if you don't know, I'm sure you don't know, Dan, but for anyone watching who might not know, basically you can get rewards and in-game loot by watching streamers who have the drop mechanism enabled. And obviously, the longer that you watch, the more drops you can get, and if you're there at the right time for the drops. So that's a great way to get people engaged with streamers, and another example of how well that works for everyone. That's a scenario where everyone wins.
Awesome. I mean, that is a phenomenal campaign, and yeah, just leveraging the tools and the audiences and the way people like to consume games. As you know, as we are learning more and more every day. Like this is not a flash in the pan phase. This is the new way of consuming entertainment.
Yeah, another way of putting it in perspective as well. I know that you were very interested and you wrote some stuff at the time about the way that Apex launched. Apex didn't do any promo in the run up. They kind of just dropped the game, and a lot of their launch strategy was put around with streamers, specifically with Ninja. They had a large deal with Ninja. It reported he got about $1 million for doing it, but no one has confirmed that. Neither Ninja or EA have confirmed that, but that's thought to be the number that he received. And Apex went on and made 92 million in its launch. So that's a pretty good return on investment. And what also happened is there was more viewers of Ninja's streams over the first 14 days of him playing the game than the official YouTube channel launch trailer got. So more eyes were on Twitch watching Ninja play the game than there were on the launch trailer, which is a more traditional way of launching a game. Obviously, Apex wasn't traditional at all in that there was no build up; it kind of just dropped. But that showed the confidence that they had in influencers and what streamers could do for a game to take that approach, and it worked.
I seem to remember, like I say, at the time, I was kind of quite fascinated with that, and I think it was that launch period, day, week. I can't remember exactly. I think Apex took something like 50% of the Fortnite
Mhm.
player and viewer audiences, which is and that's tapered back since Fortnite isn't still an absolute force to be reckoned with, but at a time when it was kind of like nothing can touch this, that was a significant sweep at those huge numbers. So yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
that was, like you said, that was a huge grab out of Fortnite's number. And as you said, Fortnite is such a juggernaut. Taking any kind of chunk out of them is great.
Yeah,
And
I'll take a fraction of a percent, please.
yeah, yeah, that'll do. But yeah, so that just shows the power of it. And I know you have been looking at like content creator collectives and that kind of thing behind influencers and streaming.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, this isn't our area of expertise, but it's just something that we just come across every day. There's more and more. There's such interesting things happening there, and yeah, this idea of content creator collectives, which I think is kind of what the Rust folks were engaged with. It was a collective of
Mhm.
streamers or content creators, and yeah, I've seen other things like you have these kind of live-in environments where you get some collectives of influencers, content creators, and they just put them all in a house. There's a thing called Hype House. There's also esports teams getting involved. So I think FaZe Clan, they've kind of got one or two mansions effectively, and they just put their esports players and they compete in there, and they create. It's not just competitive gaming. It's not just live streaming. They are also creating entertainment content. So this is why we have so many overloaded terms and um, different terms. Obviously we're familiar with influencers, Instagrammers, and there's this collective term. Content creators, I think, is I guess the all-encompassing term. Although you still see some, as always with the terminology around these things. Streamers are different to content creators. Content creators are kind of prepare and launch. Streamers that are live. But yeah, some very interesting things happening both in games and beyond as well. I think Hype House is just a generic, fashion retail. They're covering all sorts, just fun entertainment. Related, you have these. It's not all just live-ins like dorms, if you like. There's just collectives, which I think is as we were saying for Rust, and they're doing some really powerful things there. They are absolutely capturing hordes of attention, and yeah, really interesting activity and new. It's all new. These kinds of things haven't been done before. We're all familiar with how traditional TV and cinema and headlines and media works, but this is definitely something a bit different and very exciting.
Yeah, and I think why people are so receptive to it and why games do so well off the back of it is that it's authentic. Obviously, if you pay an influencer or a streamer to play your game, there's an exchange of money going there. So it's potentially in your interest to talk up the game. But to a point, there is only so much that you can stage manage that. If you're streaming live and you're playing a game, you can say all the best things you want in the world about it. If the game doesn't look great or the game isn't playing great, there's no getting away from it. And when you're going out live and someone is putting your work out there, your game in the public domain of you playing it live, you can't fake that really. You can put pre-recordings and stuff up, but if you're going out live, that you can only stage manage that to a point. So people are getting the real feel of games and typically real opinions.
And that's definitely a trend in content creation that we're seeing, and I think it's going to be a big deal. Certainly this year, 2021 is to authenticity, and I think the early days of influencers and content creators was very curated. It was very rose tinted. This is my amazing lifestyle. Look at my view on the beach and all these kinds of things, and that that worked, and has been hugely successful for a lot of commercial arrangements and sort of this new celebrity that's coming about. But what seems to be the trend now is this slightly more raw, real life, as much as and you or I can associate with it being real life, but it's not about the pristine prep and view. It's like, okay, yeah, this is me. I have been in lockdown all week. I haven't bothered to shave. I am still wearing my jogging bottoms kind of thing, but we're going to go and check out this game. And I think audiences, that's what they like to see. That is, they feel much closer to the person then. And like you were saying, if you're presenting your products in that environment, it feels much more legitimized. It isn't clearly they're being paid to say this, and the stories you see are people getting this right and people getting this wrong. It's about creating an authentic, real experience and engagement, not a blatantly here's this product, I buy it, I love it. And I think authenticity, raw, unedited, is definitely going to be a trend we're going to see more and more with influencers over the coming year.
Yeah, and I think what's great with a platform like Twitch and the other streaming platforms is that you can kind of, if you can pick up a snowball effect where obviously you can kickstart it by paying some of the really big well-known streamers to pick up your game and play it. But then we know there are more and more streamers going onto the platform every day because people want to do it. It's a fun thing to do. People like having that platform, and you can initially pay one of the big boys to get it out there, and that kind of can start the trend. And then more and more streamers might be thinking like, oh, I can get more people to my channel if I start playing this game, and then it starts to roll. And obviously you're not paying those people, they're just trying to get in on the hype of it. And again, that's even more authentic because they're not even being paid. And we know that obviously your ninjas, and when they get paid $1 million and they bring in tons, like that has a huge effect. But typically for not your huge title launches, it's the micro influencers, as they've been dubbed, who have the biggest effect and the biggest conversion rate of a success from someone watching them to going through to making a purchase, around the sweet spot of like 1,000 viewers to 10,000. So that's still a lot of people, but it's not the millions of people watching one person.
The long tail of influencers and content creators is very, very long, and you don't want to get into a bidding war with your ninjas unless you are EA or somebody to that effect. But actually, there are incredible numbers of people actually just hobbyists streaming. We're streaming right now, and there are tactics and platforms such as Keymailer that are extremely popular, just to where you can play. Okay, well, we're not going to get the big names, but we are going to get some momentum from this volume of people who are still creating great, compelling content. And they're much more approachable, they're much more accessible, they're much more reasonable, either commercial arrangements or, as you say, just a lot of people will play your game on their stream just to get a copy of the game. People will even pay for the game and stream them as well. So you've got to look at all ends of the spectrum. It was saying at the beginning, kind of leveraging things like the Twitch drops and other initiatives like that. There's still we're still at the very early days of what's going to be possible, and I'm sure we'll have many more interesting conversations around what goes on in the influencer arena.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what's so good about it is that there are different strands and different methods that you can use for this. It'd be naive to go into and think it's a one size fits all, like, oh, I'm just going to go into Twitch and start using influencers because I've seen some games do well out of it. You need to think about what your game is and the impact that you can have on it. So things like Rust and Fall Guys have seen great success with, as you're talking about, the content creator collectives, and that there's multiple people being brought together to play it together because it's a chaotic multiplayer experience, and that works well because as we've said, that's bringing all their followers together, and that's fun to watch. That's not necessarily going to work bringing people together if your game isn't multiplayer, or it's maybe not quite as fun multiplayer, interactive and chaotic. That might be where you then go down the route of, okay, we're going to get more high profile people to play it and utilize the drops to have people watching it for longer. So it's not a one size fits all, just throw it on Twitch. It's kind of making sure that your approach to using influencers matches how your game is going to be presented on the platform.
Absolutely. I saw an example recently, and there's, for more kind of, I guess, single player narrative type games, there's I can't remember who it was, but there's a recently rose to popularity streamer who essentially plays as an extra character in the storyline. So it's actually a performance piece.
Mm.
and that's kind of like you say, kind of benefiting at all levels. That is a person who, certainly at the moment, maybe they're aspiring actor or something like that, and they're using their creativity and they're adding their own value on top of this interesting and engaging storyline that the game is providing. And yeah, the viewers are really loving it, and they're interacting with their audience as if they are a character in the game. And it's just another kind of innovative spin on using these platforms.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to watch how it develops and what new things come into Twitch and what new areas you can do. Because obviously we're talking about things like drops and the collector at the moment, like that's what people are doing now. But in the grand scheme of things, like this is still in its infancy. It can grow to be who knows what at this point. So it's going to be fun to watch where that goes and just open up more streams for, no pun intended, for marketers to go down in marketing their game outside of the traditional, TV spots, paid media, that kind of stuff. That stuff's still important, and you shouldn't discount it. But that stuff can only get you so far, and you really hit the sweet spot when all those elements start working together and feeding each other. And it's going to be great to watch as these streaming platforms and influencers get more involved and how that becomes a bigger part of people's marketing, because it's just gonna, I think we're going to see more different things and more interesting things. So I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Absolutely, and let's we'll keep revisiting this topic, no doubt, and look forward to seeing what unfolds.
Definitely. Unless there is anything else that you want to talk about on influencer marketing, Dan,
No,
so we can.
I think we should treat the audience to a shorter show than normal, shall we? And we'll wrap it up there
Yes,
for now.
please. Yeah, we waffled on for a long time last week.
As we
Hopefully, it
do
was good
best.
waffle. Yes, hopefully people enjoyed it. But yeah, we'll cut it a little bit shorter this week. Thank you for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed our chat, enjoyed Carter. It'd be great to get your views on influencer marketing. Anything you've seen that's cool, send it our way. You can find us on Twitter, XPlay. And yeah, this episode will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. If you've missed any previous live shows, all our live shows are then uploaded to there. So you can go back and watch us if you weren't here last week. It was a long chat, but it was a good chat. So maybe go check that out. And as always, we'll be back at 4 p.m. next week to chat more video game news, play some games, and we'll be chatting more about video game marketing. Thanks for joining me, Dan. And
Thank you
thank you,
very much.
everyone who tuned in. And we'll see you next week.
See you later. Go on, Ben. Say a couple of things for the fans.
I hope I'm getting paid $1 million for